A couple of things. One, that's a human thing. This is not like it's not. The fact that you're in prayer and the fact that you're in is a good sign. And so don't let that discourage you, because that everybody has to deal with that. There are certain things that that can be done. You know, you need to train your mind to focus. A lot of people can't read anymore because they have that problem. Their mind wanders when they read. One of the things to do is that when you read is to really focus, like keep attentive in your reading. Don't let your mind wander, because the mind is something that you can master. It's not something that can't be tamed, but it's difficult and it takes time. And so, you know, there are things that you can do, types of, you know, tarkiz, ways of keeping focus. The Prophet ﷺ, one of the most important things to do is to be present in your wudu. Like a lot of people don't do wudu as an ibadah, they do it as an addendum to their ibadah. Whereas wudu is actually an act of ibadah. And so and Ahmad Zarruq says that the degree of your presence in your wudu will facilitate the degree of your presence in your prayer. So one of the things, because I did not really learn how to do wudu until I was with the Mauritanians. Marabt al-Hajj's wudu was amazing to watch him. And there's actually online, there's a Shaykh Khatri, I think, did a wudu very similar to Marabt al-Hajj's. But it was an act of ibadah, and he was so present in his wudu. And so being present in the wudu is really important. Also doing the mu'awwidhatayn before you go into the prayer. So actually doing the Qul a'udhu bi rabbil falaq and Qul a'udhu bi rabbin nas is something that some of the scholars have recommended to do that. And then just to pull one of the things, obviously, if you're not an Arabic speaker, the Quran, it has its own power just in the sounds. And you know, I mentioned this the other day. Just, you know, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, Alif Lam Mim. I don't know what that means, but it's Quran and it's ibadah. And so just the sounds of the Quran have an effect on the heart. And then also doing the prayer on the Prophet ﷺ is very useful. The ulama say to get rid of waswasa is the best thing that gets rid of waswasa is dhikr of Allah, and just keeping your tongue moist with the dhikr, trying to remember. One of the things, and I struggle with this, but I've been for years really trying to adhere as much as I can to what are called the ad'iyat al-ahwal, the du'as of occasional prayers. So the supplications that the Prophet, like when I come into the masjid, Bismillah, Allahumma iftah abwab rahmatika. When I go out of the masjid, left foot first. Allahumma inni as'aluka min fadlika. Like I try to do that every time I come into a prayer space. I don't always remember, alhamdulillah, most of the time I do, but I don't always. But just being conscious throughout the day of the things you do. When the Prophet got up, the first thing he did was he made a prayer. It was the first thing he did when you wake up. The Prophet, the very first thing he did, he recited, Inna fi kharq as-samawat, Inna fi kharq as-samawati wal-ard wa ikhtilaf al-layl wan-nahar al-ayat. He recited those verses every morning when he woke up. He'd go out and look at the stars, and he would recite those verses. So the Prophet ﷺ, his life was a life of constant contemplation and reflection. And so those are things that anybody can do, but it takes conscious effort. It's just not gonna happen like that. It's work to tame your mind. Some of the other traditions call it the monkey mind, you know, riding the tiger. There's different terms for it, but this is a human problem, and it's been around for a very long time. And we're a very distracted species. You know, we're distracted very easily. Distractibility is a hallmark of just being human, and so learning how to focus is one of the most important tasks that you can do. And the prayer, you know, we forget that the prayer is practice. It's practice. It's something, it's mumarasa. It's something that you do on a daily basis and just try to be present. And I know the difference between, sometimes I've repeated prayers just because I know I just didn't have any presence in the prayer. So it's a problem. And now we have phones going off and ding, ring things, and just very difficult.